Bookworm family, welcome back to my channel. If you're new, I'm Danny. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button down below. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell because I'm posting lots of new content all the time. And if you're not already following me on Instagram, please be sure to do that. It is at _dancing_bookworm. Post on there full book reviews and bookish content. So I was sitting outside today in the beautiful sun. It was wonderful. I love the sun so much. And living in central New York, it is hard to find some consistent sun. Usually our weather is sun, snow, sun, snow, sun, snow. That is pretty much how it goes here. So the fact that we actually had some sun multiple days in a row now has been a nice little treat. So I was sitting outside reading my book in the shade tree, enjoying the summer vibes that I was feeling, and I decided, hey, wouldn't that make an awesome video? Books that give you summer vibes? So that's what I decided to make today. So the books that I have a stack of 10 of them, and not all of them take place over the summer, so some of the settings are like more spring or fall, but something about them has given me a summer vibe, whether it's how the characters act, the setting that it takes place, or there's lots of things. There's lots of reasons why it could give me a summer vibe, but most of them do take place over like a summer setting. But these are just ones from my shelf. I didn't go through my ebooks or any of my previously read books. I wanted things that I could just look at my shelf and be like, yes, that's summer. So kind of like a summer book search is kind of what I just did on my shelf, so I thought I'd share them with you. And the first one, and probably the most prominent to this one, it's a book that I try to read every few years over the summer because it's one of my favorites. It is a middle grade and I absolutely love it. It is Because of Winn, Dixie by Kate D. Camilla. Takes place over the summer in, I believe, Florida, and it's about a little girl named Opal who has just moved there with her father, who's a preacher trying to get a church started down there, and she's really lonely and she's tired of moving, and her mom left when she was a little kid and she just doesn't really have much going on in her life. So when she goes to the Winn-Dixie grocery store and a dog gets caught running around, she decides to say that the dog is hers and take it home. She names the dog after the grocery store, so her dog's name is Winn-Dixie, and the dog kind of helps her find friends within her town, even friends that she wouldn't expect to make friends with. So this book is just so summery. They're on bikes throughout the whole book. She's eating outside. The dog is doing silly dog things outside. She gives it a bath outside. There's just so many wonderful things about this book. I love reading this. I have read it several times and it is just one of my top and middle grade books. It's short, it's simple, and there's no real like pain or anguish within this book. I mean, the little girl is definitely suffering because she doesn't have a mom. She doesn't have any real friends, but there's no like heart-wrenching dog gets run over by a car moment. So it's a nice little kind of breather from some of the more depressing dog-related books. It definitely has a happy ending for everyone. The next book that I have is Peter Pan by J.M. Barrie. Now, this is not really a summer, I guess, setting, but Neverland definitely feels like summer, especially with all the Lost Boys who are never going to grow up. What better setting for them to have? They're not going to be going to school in the fall all year. They're going to be celebrating over the summer. So I think the thing that gives me summer vibes about this book is that it's kind of like island-esque. Like there's the ocean and there's the trees and the sand and all this stuff where they're living. If you guys don't know what Peter Pan is about, like, are you crazy? But Peter Pan is about a boy who whisks away other little boys who don't want to grow up because they're not happy in the family that they are in. So they go to the island of Neverland where they stay the same age that they are forever. However, one day Peter goes to find Wendy, who has his shadow, and convinces Wendy to come back to Neverland with them, where the boys start realizing she would make a great mother. She kind of takes on this role of mother, but she also is missing her own family and wants to go home. So she has to try to either convince Peter to go back with her, or Peter has to convince her to stay. I think what I love about this book is just the ocean island setting. Plus, it's just a classic children's book, and I absolutely love it. The next book that I have is Seed Folks by Paul Fleischman. So this is a really short little book, and it is really good. I read this for the first time in middle school, but couldn't fully appreciate it until I was an adult. Basically, this is about a girl who starts a garden in like a neighborhood alley, and at first people are kind of skeptical of it, but then they start planting their own gardens, and within their own gardens, you're learning about their stories. why they're planting the things they're planting, and what has happened in their life that has made them start planting their own garden. At the end, you can kind of see how the garden has brought all these stories together, similar to how the book is written. This is just short. It's got a lot of short stories in it, but I think what gives me the summer vibes is just the being outside and planting your garden kind of thing. I think that there's a lot of beautiful stories in here that as you get older, you appreciate so much more than I did when I was a kid. Even though this is technically a middle grade read, it's just one that I can really look at and say, I understand where you came from more now as an adult than I could as a kid. The next one I have is Nipped in the Bud by Suzanne Sleeman. Now this is a Christian romance book, so if you're not into Christian romance, then it might not be for you. It definitely does more stray on the romance side than the Christian side, but it keeps it squeaky clean, which is why it's considered Christian romance. Now this gives me summer vibes because yes, it is a murder mystery and a romance and all that all wrapped up into one, but the main thing is that the character owns her own landscaping business. So this is about Paige Turner. Yeah, I know, right? Corny. But Paige Turner, who is kind of in the wrong place at the wrong time when a body is discovered, and it happens to be a man that she had threatened the day before. So automatically everybody suspects it's her, so it's up to her and this new lawyer, who she actually has a crush on too, to clear her name. So I think what gives me summer vibes about this is the flowers and the landscaping, and they are talking a lot about like the summer sun and all that, so it just kind of takes place over the summer. Now this book wasn't my most favorite that I've ever read, but I will say it's one of the better romances that I've read because it did focus more on the mystery than the romance, and I did enjoy that it stayed clean because as somebody who is in the LGBTQ community, I don't really like reading about your heterosexual stuffy stuff. So I prefer to read something that even if it has heterosexual relationships, I don't have to read all the details, okay? Because I don't want to know. So I did really enjoy this one, but it wasn't like one of my favorite books of all time, but it did give me a lighthearted comedy, and I believe I read it over the summer, so that helps too because I did enjoy it. The next one I have is also a Christian romance, but again leads more towards the romance side than the Christian side, though this one does probably talk more about Christian elements than the previous one, but it is Just Between You and Me by Jenny B. Jones. This is about a girl who is called back to her hometown to help take care of her niece when her sister goes missing. She has never really gotten along with her father, but he is the one who has custody of her niece, so they are kind of having to work it out for the first time ever. She also kind of falls head over heels for, I believe he's the, I think he's the cop of the town, like the local sheriff. I think it's the local sheriff. No, it's a local vet. Whoa, it's a local vet. I really thought it was a sheriff. I haven't read this in a few years, but she ends up meeting up with the local vet, not sheriff, who has been kind of also keeping an eye over her niece because her niece keeps getting herself into trouble all the time. And sparks fly between our main character and the vet. So, I think that this gives me summer vibes because I'm pretty sure it takes place over the summer. I can't remember fully. I don't know if the niece is in school session or not during this book, but I feel like it takes place over the summer. But even if it doesn't, they are by the water, which always gives me summer vibes. Like anything that takes place by the water gives me summer vibes. I know there are places like we have lakes in New York and we're not always in the summertime, but just gives me summer vibes, okay? But also I think the area that she's in is a hotter area, like a warmer area, and I just like the ooey gooey lovey romancy stuff in this, which is not always my favorite, but this is one of my favorite books because there's a lot of self-discovery in this book, which is another reason that I think it's more of a summery thing, because I feel like self-discovery really takes place mostly over the summer, at least for me anyway. So I like reading books that help me with self-discovery over the summer when I have more time to think about me and put effort into myself. So the next one I have is kind of a summery vibe for the same reason. It definitely is more of like a help yourself kind of book, like a look at the things you can do to be better to yourself kind of atmosphere. And that is Dreamland by Sarah Dessen. The other reason this gives me summer vibes is because I really have only read it over the summer. So the first time I read it, I was a senior in high school. I think it was the summer before I became a senior in high school. And the second time I read it was the summer before I went back to college for my sophomore year of college. So this is about a girl named Caitlin whose sister ends up leaving her family without any notice. She's of age to do so, so they can't do anything to get her back, but she just kind of takes off and leaves and doesn't really tell anyone why. So Caitlin is left with this hole in her heart where her sister used to be, and she instantly fills it with Rogerson. Rogerson is the dream guy at first until he starts hitting her. She has to kind of get out of this relationship, but she's also madly in love with them, so she keeps making poor choices, where she'll leave and then come back and leave and then come back kind of thing, but she also is really struggling with herself and where she fits into the mold of who she is other than her sister's little sister. So this is really a self-discovery book. That's why it gives me the summer vibes. It also has that summery, I think it has a summer atmosphere. I can't remember if it takes place over the summer or during the school year, but I want to say it takes place over the summer, or like maybe just like right at the end of summer and then school starts a little bit. I can't 100% remember, but I know that I've read this mostly over the summer, and every time I read it, I think it's such a great summer read. However, it definitely has a lot of triggers, so only read it if you can handle it, because there are so many domestic abuse triggers in here, so please be cautious of that. The next book, I feel like if it's not on your summer reads list, like, add it. I haven't actually read this book, so I am adding it to my summer reads list this year, but it is just the epitome of a summer read, and I only know this because I have watched the movie multiple times, but this year I'm gonna read the book, and that is The Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants by Anne Brashares. I have never read the book physically. I think I've started the first few chapters a couple times but never finished it, but I do know that this has an amazing summer vibe. So this is about 4 girls whose lives are kind of getting separated for the first time over a summer because they all have different activities that they have to go off to. They don't want to be left without each other, so they end up going shopping and kind of thinking of a way that they could stay connected when they discover a pair of jeans that fit all of them, which is really strange because some of them are petite, some of them are bigger, some of them are really tall, and it's just kind of this like crazy happenstance that there are some magical jeans that fit all of them. So what they do is they end up passing the jeans around all summer long and sending letters with them so that they can stay connected. I love the movie, and I hope the book is as good as the movie, if not better, because most books are. But I think that the thing that I love about the movie is that it does take place over the summer, and you're seeing 4 different summers. One of the girls is off with her dad at her dad's wedding, another girl goes to Greece, another girl's kind of left home with nothing to do, and then another girl goes off to camp. So I just love that there's so many multiple settings of what summer can be like in 4 different ways. The next book is one that I've actually just recently finished, but also have read before in the past, and I do believe it takes place in the fall. However, there's a carnival in it, and the carnival alone gives me summery vibes because around here we have carnivals in the summertime, and that's pretty much when we have carnivals, and that is The Magic Misfits by Neil Patrick Harris. Now, this is a middle grade read, so if you like middle grade and want a nice little summery read, I highly suggest this one, or Because of Winn, Dixie, because they are both awesome middle grades. But this one is about a boy named Carter who ends up jumping a train and fleeing to a different area after his uncle is caught stealing somebody that he really cares about necklace, and Carter is sick of being a part of the thieving life. His uncle has trained him in sleight of hand magic so that he can be better equipped to steal and pickpocket, but it's just not the life that he wants to live, and he wants to be better than his uncle. So he ends up taking off and running away, where he goes to a carnival, and he is kind of hit up to do the same thing that he just left his uncle for. They see that he's good at sleight of hand of magic, and they want him to be a part of their not so moral gang as well. However, in the process of making the decision of if he's going to take the carnival workers up on this offer, he meets Mr. Vern, who ends up kind of mentoring him and a bunch of other young kids who are really good at magic, and he makes a group of friends for the first time, but he does not want anyone to know he is homeless, and he's still teetering back and forth with the idea of joining the carnival workers because it would give him a place to live. So this is a really, really cute summery book, I think, because you have magic, but it's not like in your face wizard magic. Sometimes we need a break from those fantastical elements, right? Sometimes we just need to have like, here's a bunny that I'm pulling out of a hat kind of magic, which is great. I also think that this has such wonderful summery vibes because the carnival, I associate carnivals with summer. So I think fried dough and snow cones and Ferris wheels, and to me that just screams summer because that's when I go to the carnival, that's when I go to the state fair. So it definitely gives me those vibes, and I just think it's a really cute book overall. The next one I have is The Last Time I Lied by Riley Sager. Side note, for the first time ever, I realized that Riley Sager was a guy. So it says, Riley Sager, the pseudonym of an author who lives in Princeton, New Jersey. Riley's first novel, Final Girls, was a national international bestseller that has been published in more than 24 countries. Nothing says that he is a guy. However, I clicked on the Instagram the other day and realized it's a guy. This whole time I have been saying Riley Sager is a girl. So I'm sorry for all the previous videos where I have made you believe that it is a female author. For this book, it is not. It is just such a summer girls camp book that I don't know why it wouldn't have been a girl. Like, in my head, it just made sense. But basically, this is a mystery about, and a little bit of a thriller, and a little bit of a horror, and all the things kind of put in one. But this is a mystery about a girl who went to a summer camp where somebody was killed or went missing, something like that. I can't remember. It's been a couple summers since I've read it myself. But there was definitely a murder because the camp shut down. She was sent home early, but it was somebody that she knew, and it was something to do with her cabin of girls. She goes back to the camp as a counselor when they decide to reopen, but she's really only going back to solve the crime for herself because it was never really truly rested as to what happened. This is definitely the book that I would have wanted to read. Probably not wanted to have read, but probably would have and then regretted it later, before going to a summer camp, like an overnight summer camp. This is so creepy and just kept me on the edge of my seat, and I did read it over the summer too, and there were so many things that talked about like the lake and the swimming and all this stuff, and like creepy things are happening, and I'm like, I don't want to go to the lake ever again. But this book, if you like horror and you like thrillers, then this book is for you, and it definitely has a whole summer camp lake vibe to it. So the next two I'm going to talk about together because they are part of a series, but that is Love and Gelato and Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. Both of these give me some amazing summer vibes, but mostly Love and Gelato. Love and Luck also gives me some amazing summer vibes, but a little bit less than Love and Gelato. Love and Gelato is about a girl who ends up going to live with her estranged father after her mother passes away of cancer. There she meets a guy, and she's trying to kind of learn a little bit more about her mother, and so this guy helps her by helping her go to all these places that her mother has photographed and journaled about so that she can see them for herself and kind of experience Italy with her mother. Love and Luck is about Lena, who's the main character in here. Her best friend ends up going to Ireland, and then she's supposed to leave and go see Lena in Italy, but instead of going on the plane like she's supposed to, her brother ends up taking off and decides to go gallivanting over Ireland where they're not supposed to. Her brother's like, you can still go to Italy, but she's like, I can't leave you by yourself with some random stranger, so I'm going with you. So she ends up kind of getting to know the random stranger, and sparks fly between them as well. But she's also really mad at her brother, so there's a lot of family tension and a little bit of love in there too. So these books give me so much summer vibes. I mean, they take place over the summer things are happening, there's a trip, there's vacation, and I mean, who doesn't love that, really? Who does not love those kind of books that you can just be there mentally? Like, I have never been to Italy and I have never been to Ireland, but reading those books just put me in that setting, and I absolutely love it. So anyway, so that is my video for you guys of books that give me summer vibes. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks so much for watching. Bye!
Wasn't that a great video? Clearly books make me very happy. Now you can make me happy too. Click the subscribe button to follow my channel. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up if you think I did good. And the notification bell will let you know when I post new content. Also, follow my Instagram for more book shenanigans.